This time, it's all change as I head north towards the Arctic Circle.
This is very different to anything that I've ever done before.
My survival skills are pushed to the limit when I'm plunged into freezing temperatures.
Your spine starts shivering. It chills you to your very core.
Hunger forces me to eat anything I can find.
It's got sand in it.
And my shelter against the icy cold brings nothing but trouble.
Ow! Ow!
I'm Ed Stafford. I've walked the length of the Amazon and survived on a desert island with only a camera to film my adventure. Now, I've set myself a new challenge. To prove I can make it in some of the world's toughest environments.
Oh my God.
Using only what I find around me.
Already had a kidney and a bit of liver.
I'll be left completely alone for just over a week with nothing.
Words cannot describe how I feel right now.
No film crew, no food, no water.
The sun is directly overhead. It's boiling hot.
Not even a knife.
Right, come on, Ed, go move on.
This time, it's about more than survival. I want to see if I can thrive.
Yes!
Anywhere.
I'm in Norway, and it's the first time ever Marooned has come to a truly cold climate.
The Scandinavian winter can be a killer, and I'm way out of my comfort zone.
For the first time, I'm being allowed to wear a full set of clothes because without them, I just wouldn't survive here.
But I've got nothing else to help me, not even a knife. Let's go! I'm on Norway's rugged west coast. My destination is a remote mountainous area in Nordland, approximately 100 kilometers south of the Arctic Circle. This is the land of snow and ice, where freshwater lakes freeze and stunning fjords give way to massive mountains. I'm being dropped at one of the highest points in this inhospitable landscape. From now on, it's just me, my camera equipment, and my emergency kit.
Okay, that's the last time I'm going to see anybody for well over a week. Right, this is different. This is very different to anything that I've ever done before. There's a little panic going on in my brain right now. I'm a tropical guy. I'm at home in the jungle, and I'm on top of a mountain. As ever, the aim here isn't just to survive, it's to thrive. Why are you laughing, Ed? Oh my God, right. In order to attempt to survive, let alone thrive, the survival priorities remain the same. Water, food, fire, shelter. I need to get down off this mountain before evening kicks in, before the winds come, before the weather changes. I need to get into the tree line. I need to look for the materials to make myself fire. This is going to be some sort of challenge, it really is.
At this time of year, nighttime temperatures can drop as low as minus 20 degrees Celsius. Even with clothes, I'm still at serious risk of hypothermia and could get frostbite. And physical exertion means dehydration is a real threat. Fire is absolutely vital, but there's no chance of making it up here.
It sounds weird, but one thing I have to be slightly careful of is not to overheat. If I start sweating in this environment and my underlayer gets wet, once I stop, that could easily freeze to my body. Then I'm in real trouble.
This is the season for avalanches, so I have to tread carefully.
It's actually quite steep. Just kicking steps into the snow.
The climb down is taking much longer than I hoped.
Forever wanting to conserve energy, I'm just going to experiment with
glissading or sliding down on my bum, basically. Let's have a go. Not going terribly fast, yes I am. Oh, nice! Save a bit of energy. Starting to get to the edge of the snow now. I don't like letting apprehension get the better of me, but I'm starting to get a little bit agitated. I need a drink. I need a drink.
Water is essential. I could eat snow, but it would lower my core temperature, and my body would use up vital calories melting it.
This moss holds a huge amount of water. Which is actually a very good drink.
First survival priority sorted.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Now, I really need to think ahead to tonight. I have to focus on making a fire, or I might freeze.
I hadn't realised how dehydrated I was. I think just coming down that mountain, I've sweated quite a lot. I can feel the sweat that's on my body starting to chill.
As usual, in my bag I've got my spare camera, but nothing to help me survive, unless my life is in real danger.
I've got an emergency medical kit. I've got emergency communications. The other thing I've got is a self-heating blizzard blanket. Essentially, when this is exposed to the air, it has the ability to heat my whole body up if I start going into hypothermia.
But I'm determined not to use any of it unless it really is an emergency. So I need fire before it gets colder tonight.
Immediately, I'm finding things like this. This is old man's beard. I want to make an amazing little tinder bundle and help me getting a fire going, which is my absolute priority right now. It's dangerously close to getting dark now. Maybe an hour and a half left of light. All I've got is old man's beard so far. This here is silver birch. The layer underneath the bark is really flammable. It's got a very flammable resin in it, so I can use this as tinder as well.
What I really want for my tinder bundle is grass. Dry grass. But round here, it's all soaking wet.
It's been under the snow all winter. It's absolutely saturated. I'm not going to get a fire going tonight, I just know it. But I'm going to pick some, and I'm going to stick it down my trousers, and I'm going to use the heat of my body tonight to dry the grass. Okay. And I have grass down my pants. At the moment I'm hot, so all my thermals are damp, and I'm about to have to spend the night without fire. Very close to the Arctic Circle, and there's snow everywhere.
I've burnt a huge amount of calories getting down from the mountain. I'm going to use a lot more tonight, staying warm without a fire. My reserves are already sapping.
I don't really want to descend anymore. I need to find a place to stop. Let me put this into night vision mode. I found a little dry patch of moss underneath the trees over there. I'm just going to tuck myself there for the night. I'm very exposed, I'm very out on a limb.
The temperature's dropping, and I'm going to be sleeping on a cold floor.
Clearly my main fear is just temperature tonight. I've never spent a night very close to the Arctic Circle without a fire or a sleeping bag or some means of staying warm aside from the clothes I'm wearing. And it's daunting beyond anything that I've done on this show before. It's not going to be a pleasant first night, is it? I must have been lying down for at least an hour, and I'm now really, really cold. So, press up time.
I'm Ed Stafford. It's my first night out in the open in Norway. The temperature is below freezing. I've got no shelter, no food, and more importantly, no fire. I'm fully clothed, but that won't stop me getting hypothermia.
Going on a little night walk, which I don't normally do, actually. I'm keeping myself warm, and it is working.
My mission is to thrive here, but right now, my focus is on pure survival.
Night one over. Thank goodness.
I've never been more relieved to see daylight. After a night exposed to the elements, my main priority is still to make fire.
I can't stay here for another night because I haven't got the materials that I need to light a fire with. So I need to push on. The little stream to my left, I'm just following it down.
The stream will lead me to lower ground. I'm hoping there will be less snow and more firewood.
I can hear the sound of a small waterfall ahead. There's a little chasm opening up in front of me. Look at that! It widens up into a proper fjord. Just a very thin layer of ice on the surface of the water. It was definitely below freezing last night.
To escape the worst of the snow, I've come down off the mountain into the tree line, and I've now arrived at the upper reaches of a tidal fjord. To make the most of what little sun there is, I'll set up camp on the south-facing bank, well above the high tide line.
Fresh water here, heather under my feet, trees to build shelter with, and elevation to keep me out of the high tide. I think this is perfect.
Now, I really do need to make a fire.
The grass that I collected yesterday, you can hear it. It's crispy. That has dried amazingly next to my body. Right, I'm going to put it back there until I need it.
I've got to find something to light it with. I don't rate my chances of rubbing sticks together in this damp environment. But I see some rocks that might just hold the answer.
That is a decent bit of red rock. That has iron oxide in it.
But the rocks on their own aren't enough.
Okay. I don't know what that is. Literally just pulled this out of the beach. But that's metal. This is a fire kit. It may not be conventional. It's not a fire by friction fire kit. This is much more simple if I can get it to work. This is literally striking one against the other, creating a spark, If I can get a spark, and I can catch that spark on a dry bit of fungus, that's it, you got an ember.
I know this method of striking metal against rock works, but I've never had to do it when it really matters. The sparks are almost too small to see, and one has to land on the fungus for this to work. When the sun goes down, the temperature's gonna drop. I can't stay awake again trying to keep warm. Even if this takes all afternoon, I have to get a fire before tonight.
It's got one. Right, tinder bundle. Very small at the moment. I'm just letting the ember grow. Yes! Woohoo! Fire! Fire, fire. That took a long time. That took much longer than I thought it would.
To keep this fire burning, I need lots of wood. I don't have an axe, and I can't find any suitable stone to make one.
Having a little bit of a deliberation about my fire. Everyone who advised me before they heard that I was doing my first cold weather Marooned said you need to make a full-length body fire, i.e. the full length of your body, lots of logs stacked up, one on top of each other, and literally the full length of the log is burning.
This is a classic survival fire for freezing conditions. It kicks out loads of heat, but uses a lot of wood. Usually, I make a star fire, where logs are fed into the centre. It's efficient and uses minimal fuel.
If I had an axe, I totally agree, I'd make a big long fire and I'd burn logs one on top of the other. However, I don't have an axe, so I'm going to break convention. Even though I'm in a cold weather environment, I'm going to stick to a star fire because I just haven't got the wood to do otherwise, really. At least I've got a steady source of heat, even if it's not as big as a full body fire.
If I can build a shelter and get off the ground, I might just be warm enough tonight. But again, without an axe, everything takes forever.
This whole shelter is going to be built out of dead wood, and it's just a case of going and finding it and dragging it back. I wish I had an axe. This front pole in here is obviously far too long. So I'm just going to put it on the fire and burn it through. That's the only way I've got of cutting big logs is to literally put them on the fire and burn straight through them.
There's no way I'm going to finish this shelter today. But I definitely can't sleep on the ice-cold floor again.
Okay, I'm trying to use the remaining light to make the basics of a raised bed. I've raised both ends with big rocks, and there's going to be logs making the platform of the bed. Then I'm going to put spruce on it, then heather, and it should make a nice comfy mattress. The juniper that I've just been using to make my mattress out of has little berries on it. Oh wow, they're like berries that taste of Christmas trees.
But it's well into day 2, and this is the first food I've come across, so I'm grateful.
Juniper, bedding, and a meal in one handy plant. Time to give it a go.
Oh, yeah? I'm off the ground.
Isn't it nice when your face glows orange at night?
I've got a fire going, I've got a bed, I'm off the floor, and I've got a mattress. What more could I want? A roof. It's been cloudy all day. If it rains, I am in a bit of trouble. Do you know what? That was one of the best nights' sleep I think I can ever remember having. Of course I had to get up to tend the fire, but this is a comfy bed. When the shelter's complete, this is going to be a perfect little spot.
Although I still need to finish my shelter, it'll have to wait. It's day 3, and I'm hungry.
A lot of the snow around here has turned to ice now, so it's very difficult to walk over without sliding.
I haven't seen any sign of animals near my camp, so I'm going to explore the area to see if I can find something else to eat.
I have to admit, I was quite excited for a little while then. I thought I was filming tadpoles below the ice. But it's just water droplets. There's no tadpoles at all. That would have been food. But it was an optical illusion probably caused by my lack of food and my hoping for tadpoles. That little crevice there, there's some ferns, and I'm pretty sure that the only fern around here has got an edible root. And at the moment, I'm quite low on carbs. Sometimes you just need simple, straightforward energy.
Taste the licorice sticks.
It's quite plentiful, which means I should be able to get quite a lot of carbs inside me. That was a good find.
It'll have to do for today. I've got to finish my shelter before dark. But when I get back, I'm in for a shock. An unexpected spring tide.
That is a very, very, very high tide. What was a little meandering stream that you could just hop across? No way. I'm kind of praying that that's not going to get any higher, because if it gets any higher, I'm going to be flooded.
I'm in Norway. This is the first time I've ever tried to thrive, let alone survive, in a truly cold climate. And I've just had a very close shave.
I'm only just above the high tide. I'm quite pleased I decided to build my camp where I did. I was very close to be building it on the dry grass, which is now underwater. That's pretty impressive, actually, I have to say. Just look at that expanse of water. Pretty magical.
So far, I've found water and built half a shelter. But I'm worried the fire I've made isn't going to keep me warm. It's not burning nearly as efficiently as I'm used to.
The wood's dry enough, but the problem is the ground around here is absolutely sodden, and I think the moisture is just being soaked up by the fire and just killing any inherent heat.
I need to find a way to make this work.
See, this is right underneath where the fire was. And it's wet. It's not just damp. That's ridiculous. I need to get rid of all of this moss, I think. You know when you have a little niggle at the back of your mind, but you ignore it, and it causes you to be slightly unsettled? The fire had been one of those. I can use that for my shelter by spending half an hour stripping away all the really sodden moss back to bare rock. I can see the fire is happier. That was time well spent.
With just 3 hours to sundown, I need to finish my shelter.
This couldn't be more urgent. I really need to get a roof above my head. I suspect late this evening, if not tonight, we're going to get a heavy downpour.
The plan is to give it a really steep roof. It needs to be 60 degrees from the floor. This will shed rain and snow and reflect heat back onto me when I'm lying on my bed. For the roof, I'm using the moss I pulled up from beneath the fire. It's heavy, but should keep me dry.
It really is looking good. And my only concern is that bough is bending somewhat now. Okay, this is nonsense. I was going to put a strut in to support it there, and then I thought, oh no, that won't look as good. This isn't aesthetics, is it? This is not aesthetics. If that breaks, a full day's work is down the drain. I'm going to put a support in, just to make sure that doesn't break. Ta-da! Look at that bad boy. A raised bed, a fire, and a log cabin with a turf roof. When in Norway and all that. I'm quite happy with that.
Almost 4 days in, and I've got water, shelter, and fire. But I've used a lot of energy and hardly eaten anything. I'm not thriving.
I always go for a few days where I can use all the food inside my system and start burning body fats, but I need to eat now. Tomorrow, search for food. Because I'm hungry.
The next morning, I get a rude awakening.
Ow! 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 Oh. Shit. I've just had a complete disaster. The shelter's collapsed, and it landed on my leg. That's not good news. That is not a good start to the day. It's still sleeting. I just need to get this shelter rebuilt as quickly as possible. Crikey. Do you know what? I like a bit of a crisis. I think I actually operate better when there's something that you need to deal with urgently, otherwise things will go drastically wrong. That's when I fire into action. And that's actually the moments of my life that I thrive. Look at that shelter. That's better than it was before. Shelter rebuilt, fire surviving just. I can breathe again, I can breathe. I've never been to such a cold and damp country. It chills you to your very core, and your spine starts shivering.
I need to get back on track and search for more food.
I've just come down to the water's edge.
there's lots of shells around. And if the shells, it probably means that there's seafood.
Oh, yeah.
That in my hand is a sand flea. It's food on a micro level. It's food.
He almost got away. But he's retaining our teeth.
I know why they're called sand fleas. They taste of sand. There's little shells. Snails for supper. I've just found the two weirdest looking clams. Nice little addition to supper. Look at that. The feast. This is a bit weird. This is definitely a bit weird. This has come out of the clam. Okay, it's got sand in it. I could tell that wasn't edible the moment we went through it. That's just a bag of sand. That, however, is sort of a bit like tripe, isn't it? I've got two of those to eat. First snail. Tastes like seafood. Really good, actually. 18 snails for supper. Actually, surprisingly tasty. It's actually snowing, not raining today. It's sort of sleet. Who wants to get up in this sort of weather?
But if I want to thrive, I can't just lie here. I won't eat, my fire will go out, and I'll risk hypothermia.
Okay, I've got to do something about this fire. At the moment, partly because of the rain, partly because of the cold, partly because all the wood is damp, the starfire method, it's just not... I've got to acknowledge, it just doesn't work. So, I'm going to try and make myself a full body-length fire. Having said that, I've never done it before.
Okay, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 massive logs now. All I need to do is lie 2 of them down on the floor, remake the fire, and fingers crossed we should have a more efficient system. Now, I feel properly warm.
I came in here thinking, I know fires. A starfire suits every occasion, and yet every bit of advice had told me before you need to make a longitudinal fire, and I thought, you know what, that's not really necessary. It will just burn too much wood too quickly. And it doesn't. When it's really cold and damp, this type of fire works. And it's really cool to be humbled enough to learn something new. It's really making me smile. Tomorrow I'm exploring and finding food. Anything that could help me not just survive here, but end up thriving. If I can end up thriving after my time here in Norway, I'll be a happy man.
But the night brings an unwelcome surprise.
Shit.
Might have put a little bit too many logs on the fire. Normally I'd be really worried about that if my shelter had caught on fire, because it would go woof. But in this instance, that's sodden moss, and it's been raining all night long. It's never gonna go woof. Drama over. Drama over.
I've been in this freezing landscape for over a week. I have fire, shelter, water, and enough food to survive. Now, I can afford to up my game and venture further afield. I want to thrive.
Ha ha ha! There is a massive fjord. Look at that. Right, how can I get down to it?
My fjord dries out twice a day, so there isn't much seafood. But this is a proper coastline and should be teeming with shellfish.
I've never seen so many mussels. Look at these.
These are not bad. Better than tiny little snails. I can have a feast. An absolute feast. Okay, little addition to my final supper of mussels is a side salad. This stuff is very edible and really, really good for you.
Sea lettuce, seaweed, and mussels.
At long last, it's time to eat. I think a bit like potatoes, seaweed needs to go on first because that needs a bit of a roasting, I think. Nice birch bark plates to put it all on. Have myself a little meal by this fire. And open up the most fantastic looking mussels. It just looks like proper food. The amount of fat and protein in one of these mussels. Oh, it is actually wonderful. That is amazing. They say that hunger is the best sauce. Crikey, that is one of the best mussels I've ever had. And my side salad is a Japanese speciality. Sea lettuce. Not bad. Ow! Flaming seaweed. Sounds like something Batman would say. It's been a pretty good and successful journey as far as food's concerned. To have such a quantity of mussels and sea lettuce, I could eat this till the cows come home. It means that you could sustainably be here through all seasons Lovely final supper.
I think part of thriving, part of not just surviving is relaxing. It's being able to feel so secure in your state of play that you can do things that aren't actually essential. You think it's time, on this nice dry day, to add a mattress topper to my spruce mattress. This stuff here is so squidgy, you can just put your face in it. It feels like a big sponge or, I don't know, something that you'd wash yourself in the bath with. It's still a bit damp to the touch, but I reckon by the fire, it's going to dry out and make a really, really comfy bed. I have a mattress topper, toastable on fire, soft, fluffy mattress. Morning. It's my last day in Norway. My fire kept me relatively warm, but the whole of the beach is frozen. I'm being picked up by boat, and in order for the boat to know where I am, I need to make a signal fire, so I'm making myself a little ember carrier so that I can take my fire with me, and when I get there, I can light a signal fire. This grass has been drying on the fire overnight, and I'm just going to twist it and make it really, really tight so that it'll hold an ember. Simple tube made out of birch bark. Bend this bit, and then just keep waving it around and keep it lit. I'm going home. I am going home. Life would be rubbish, wouldn't it, if you just kept repeating the same thing day in, day out. You need fresh challenges, and you need to push yourself outside your comfort zone, because if you don't grow, do you? That is a proper signal fire. Look at all that smoke. Zippo. Happy days. It's time to go home. I can't forever keep saying, I'm not really an expert in the cold weather. Do you know what? After spending this amount of time in Norway, just shy of the Arctic Circle, with just my bare hands, no axe, no tools, no food, you can't fail but learn. You can't fail but just have to bring yourself down to the level where you need to make stuff work. And it's pretty cool.